edition. Why it is special today, I will share it with you at the end. Before that, please keep your notepad and pen ready so that you can write down all that queries as well as all the learning from this program. Although we will provide all these tablet we are using during this session, all the templates we are using, and the other material you will get that through email by today before ending of the day, otherwise tomorrow. Then also you will get the video session of this master program. So don't worry about all that thing. If you have certain questions, so I'm clearing that in the beginning so that we can smoothly go forward with this master session today, and your learning can be at par what you want to learn this program and what the new concept you will learn with this program today. Okay, let's begin now. So this is the schedule of this program. It may be have already seen, has been received to you by email and on the WhatsApp group too. So this program we have designed in the 3 sections. In first section, there will be a small introduction related to the platform where you are learning the new concept related to the labor law compliances, and then after the introduction with whom you are learning these advanced skills and portfolio management. Then we will cover all that topics which you have gone through during the registration. That all topics will be covered here with the preview of a new labor codes. Then in the section number second, it is the very important parts and which required your concentration, specifically how to create or prepare or maintain the compliance management portfolio in your organization that will create your career USP as a labor law compliance specialist as well as the HR specialist too. Then at the end there is specifically 30-minute question and answer session. So this session will be go by, or it will be bind up expectedly by 7:30 only, and if you have more questions so it will be go further also, but as of now by 7:30 we will be bind up this session. So there, now let's begin with the introduction of the SBR Learning Studio, where you are learning the new concept or the advanced concept related to the labor law compliance, how that you can prepare or maintain, create a labor law compliance portfolio for your organization. If you are working in an organization, if you are a student, how that can advance your career for future learning. If you are a consultant or be providing services to the industries, and how you can utilize these new concepts which we are sharing in this master program to build your credibility with the clients and then grasp more clients and quality services, provide the quality services to the clients. So here you are at the platform of SBR Learning Studio. SBR Learning Studio is a digital educational program, and this organization was established initially in May 2020, and now it has more than 1 year and 3-4 months of existing. And this organization was established with the objective to provide learning platform to everyone with the reasonable cost. Then we have a vision defined behind this organization and its concept to influence and educate 100 million plus people by 2040. So we are on a mission where we will influence or educate 25,000 students every year. This is our mission, and you are now becoming the community member of this mission and the great learning league. So I have one request related to some member who have unmuted their mic. Please mute it so that because we are recording this session, so that it should be clear for everyone when you will see or when you will watch and hear this recording later on. So that I will request once again that please mute your mic if at the end you want to ask the question, that time I will request you, you can unmute yourself for asking the question. But in between the session, please don't unmute your mic and keep it muted. And if you have questions and answers, so that if you have any questions, so that keep noted those questions on your notepad, so that we can cover up all those questions at the end. So specifically this program is mentioned as 2 hours, but we are keeping it for 30 minutes later, so that we can cover all the questions. Once again, someone have unmuted their mic, please mute your mic. Okay, let's begin with so we are on a mission to influence and educate 25,000 students every year, even that are not specifically for related to the labor law, as well as there are some other portfolio we have related to the education for a different domain of the specific learning at the digital platform. Then we have a value too. On that value, where we have created this organization, that we value our customer for the long term association. So now here is the, I'm sharing just a crux of that. We are in the 7 segment of services as of now, that are all the digital, but there are 1 and 2 services which are the physical too, like business coaching for the headhunting. And there are some 1 and 2 new concept which we are adopting and incorporating in this segment, and the next 3 and 4 months that will be live. You can see that, where you, here I'm not sharing it in detail. You can go to our website, and there you can check out all that details about the SBR Learning Studio and its services. So if we come at the presence of SBR Learning Studio, so we are present at we are in presence at the 5 different platforms, to 2 specific platform where you can connect to us related to the queries and other resources and our learning. So that is one of our website, and our website is the www.azuretrend.com. And further, you can also connect with us through the email if you have any query, and there is one dedicated contact WhatsApp number where you can connect to us directly for related to query in the future. And there we have also one digital institute which is on the name of SBR Learning Studio, the school of e-learning, where all the live programs and courses that are available, and they you can access those courses there. Instead of these 2 direct platforms, we are also available on the social media, where we provide the insights and updates related to the soft skill learning, that HR specific learning, and the people who are aspirant to learn from the global great leaders and their books. So we have one dedicated social media platform where you can find out the learnings and small summaries related to the important books. So these are the our existence and the presence, where you can reach to us and know about us. Then it come to the next level. As I mentioned, we had in the e-learning, and as of now we have more than 11 live courses available on our platform. So here I will not share more about those courses, but here specifically, so that are more than 11 now. And you can also check out all these courses to visit our website too. Now let's begin. And here is who is teaching to you and who is your facilitator for the master program today. My name is K.S. Srinivasan, and I have BA LLB and MBA HR. I'm more than 18 years of experience and also certified from the SHRM as a senior HR professional. I have worked with the Indian and overseas organization more than 18 years for India as well as the Southeast Asia. So this is about the HR and about your facilitator today. And now let's begin with the master session today. What we are covering with the overview of the labor laws, as you have seen during the registration. So here we are covering the topic specifically related to the factories, shop and commercial establishment, payment of bonus, contract labor act, then payment of wage and minimum wage act, payment of gratuity, PF and ESIC, industrial standing order, safety compliance and compliance in term of members and committees. That also in the preview of 4 new labor codes. What are the changes happening after or very soon that new codes will be implemented? Then how you have to be prepared for making your establishment ready to comply with the requirement of the new labor code. So you are also learning that concept in this master program today. So before going into the this section of understanding the compliance specifically, so here I have one question for you. Question is that you have to answer that question in the chat box. What do you understand from the labor law compliance? Just 1 or 2 sentence answer, please write in the chat box. I'm waiting for that. After that we will go forward deep in this master session today and cover all the topics and how you can reach through a level of compliance management portfolio in your organization. And then I will also share with you how to create the USP and the success skill of labor law compliance specialist from this master program today only. So here I'm waiting for your answer. Just write in the chat box, what do you think and what do you consider or what do you know? What is the statutory compliance or labor law compliance exactly? So I'm seeking 1 or 2 answer only, then I will share with you what is exactly the labor law compliance. Okay. So Gunjan Patil is saying that to set guidelines to ensure safety and justice for all workmen to ensure their skills and overall development. Uh, you can say it, but exactly if I talk about the labor law compliances, so labor law compliances is exactly fulfilling the requirement or the obligations which are applicable the labor law for your organization on behalf of your employer, and your employer is the only one person who is the responsible under the laws to comply with all the requirement which are the labor laws applicable to your organization, even that your organization is manufacturing services, IT and others. Ravi is saying adhering rule and regulation at the workplace. Adhering is one thing that is okay, but after compliance specifically become when it come to the process. And finally, exactly reporting your status of adherence and specifically facilitate the required essential provision under the law to the authorities, so that it is the actual meaning of compliance. Somewhere we have seen also, not somewhere, most of the organization, the people who are dealing with the labor law compliance, they usually maintain their compliance for their management, not in the aspect of the authorities. That's why most of the organization still they have their pain point to ensure the 100% compliance in their organization. And that's why, as well as the hiring of a big team of HR, they also engage the labor law compliances or consultant so that they can comply these labor law compliances. But then after the compliances pain for the employer are still remaining when they are engaging the HR team as well as the compliance leader or the labor law consultant, then the compliances are not still completed or complied as required. Reason is being that the consultant you are hiring for your organization, they come to your organization once or twice, and all that work you have to maintain that by themselves or by yourself. But most of the organization and people who are dealing with the compliance consider that only the paperwork. So as of now, I'm sharing one statement, and that statement will be actualized at the end when you will learn the major expectation of the compliances and changing the scenario of labor law compliance workplace after implementation of the new labor code. So here, thank you so much who has been answered about this, but here you are clear now. Compliance is not just to follow the regulation, it is exactly fulfill those obligations which are prescribed under the applicable labor laws. Depend on your organization, even that is a manufacturing organization and that is your ITs. There are three sector of organization or the business entity. One is primary is that small organization or small business processes which process the natural resources to some product. And second come the secondary is the major manufacturing or the business sector that transform the product to one form to another form and specifically change their shape. In that process they required certain regulation that required specific regulation to follow up or field, and you need to fulfill that regulation. And that's why the compliance for the manufacturing and certain secondary organization, it is so broad. So that's why this program is specifically for enhancing your skill in the labor law compliances. So now, and the third category of your industrial sector, that is the territory, and territory sector come under the merger of the service ITs and other related services. So now here in this masterclass, we are majorly covering the aspect of the manufacturing sector, how you can comply and create a labor law compliance portfolio for your organization. Before going forward in this session, here I have one question for you. That question is, what are the four success qualities of a labor law compliance specialist? I'm repeating the question again. What are the four success qualities of labor law compliance specialist? Write down the answer in the chat box. One or two answer I'm seeking so that we can correlate your participation in this session, and then we will go forward in the master session today, covering all these topics which have mentioned in overview of the coming or the new labor codes. So I'm repeating the question again. Question is, what are the four success quality of a labor law compliance specialist? These four quality that will totally transform your HR career or labor law compliance career. Please write down the answer in chat box quickly, and then after we will move forward into knowing the actually what are the compliance, labor law compliance specifically for the organization, and how you can create or prepare or maintain that compliance structure as your special quality to get succeeding in the organization, as well as out of that pain which are still last 76 years of Indian independence with them, to their organization should be 100% comply with the obligations under the applicable labor law. So I'm seeking your answer in one and two only. So Ravi is saying knowledge of labor law. Okay, any another member who want to answer? What are the four qualities of a labor law compliance specialist or as well as a labor law compliance leader? And that four quality create a USP for your career, unique selling proposition. If you have that for quality, and you will brand yourself as a leader or specialist, then you can take a special value for yourself, and that will help you in the succession of your career. Okay, Ravi is saying only the knowledge of labor laws. Is there any another member who can answer quickly so that we can go deep in this master session and cover all those topics which we have mentioned here? Okay, let's begin. And I'm sharing with you quickly the four qualities of a labor law compliance specialist, and that will create the your USP, unique selling proposition for your career development, and make you specialist in the area of labor law compliance, and further help you into succeed in your career succession. So there, what is the 4 qualities of the labor law compliance specialist? Number 1, vigilant. Number 2, foresighted. Number 3, accountable. And number 4, responsible. So these are the 4 qualities of labor law compliance specialist, as well as the these are the 4 parameters define your unique selling proposition as a labor law compliance. If you have all those 4 qualities, or you are a HR professional dealing with the labor law compliance, that will rebuild your credibility in the organization as an individual as well as the department. And when you, what are the advanced techniques and advanced process you are knowing under this in this master session today, that will also recreate your credibility in the organization, that as of now the HR department is considered as the non-profitable function. But with this session today, what are the tactics and process you will learn, that you will be assured, or you will be confirm your management that HR is now actual the human resource business partner, and specifically also have that contribution in the business of organization. So let's begin with the session now, the covering of all the topics which we have mentioned, and you are watching on this screen right away. So what are that specifically? If we go under the Factories Act, so factory is a broad area for the expectation or in respect of the different applicable labor laws. Under that act, the employer have certain obligations which that require to fulfilled. If that obligations are not fulfilled, so that will lead the imprisonment and fine up to certain amounts, and finally that amount will impact the financial condition of employer. One part. Second part, there is also provision of the imprisonment to 3 years if some obligations happen there, and it will become through the litigation, and there will be imprisonment for your employer. There is a 3 laws for his image. One is image, business, and his reputation with the competitor. So these 3 are the pain point for your employer. And after completing this session today, you will get that, and you will have that roadmap where you will help your organization to save his credibility, image, and business, as well as also recreate your credibility in the organization as well as an individual, and then the as whole department. So now, why the employer they have that pain to comply with the obligations which are applicable for the, or which are prescribed under the applicable labor law for that. So specifically we have here considered and compiled certain obligations which require to fulfill under every labor law, and that's why I have mentioned in the beginning, the compliance is not just maintaining records and facilitates something. So it is actually fulfilling the requirements which are and prescribed under the different labor codes. Similarly, the under Factory Act, there are certain obligations to the employer. What are those? Number 1, that is approval required there, then licensing and registration of the factories. Then after, you need to facilitate the health measures, safety measures, and then the welfare measures. There are the certain obligations related to the employee, and their certain number. If you are reaching to the certain level of or number of employee in your organization, then after you need to fulfill another certain obligations under the provision of Factories Act 1948, like appointment of Factory Act, that safety officer if employed more than 100 manpower. Then hazard process, you need to make special provision for that. There you need to constitute safety committee, facilitate the welfare measure and the appointment of welfare officer. Then you need to define the working hours for the adult worker. then employment of one young person which you need to assure, and the certain obligations are there and that need to be fulfilled. Then after the provision of the annual leave with wage that you need to be consider and take care in the organization. Then there are certain policies related to preventing the safety and environment that causing due to the hazard process in your organization. For that, then display certain abstract and notices under this, then submission of the periodic records that are the status of your actual compliance under the obligations for applicable labor law toward the or in respect of the appropriate government as well as the authorities on behalf of your, okay, that we will share that at the end. So keep this question here, I'm noting it here, and then I will answer this question at the end. So if certain obligations related to the Factories Act not fulfilled, there is a provision of imprisonment 3 years and fine up to 2 lakh rupees. It will impact the image, business as well as the reputation of your employer. So it is the opportunity to recreate your credibility in the organization and rebuild that. And you is the only person learning with this master program today. You can save your organization as well as your image of your management. Then it come to the another which we are covering the is similarly the Factories Act 1948. The other establishment or the businesses that are not factory, they come under the shop and commercial establishment. Similarly, there are certain obligations for the employer which required to fulfill by the employer. If that are not fulfilled, so there are provision of fine up to 1 lakh rupees and the cancellation of the registration under this shop and commercial establishment. Like there is the mandatory registration of the establishment within 90 days of commencement. Then you need to assure the employment of adult workers. There has restriction of dual employment. Specifically, you need to be assured that the employee who you have engaged in your organization, that person should not have to work in the dual employment. Then provision of employment of children, that provision you need to be maintained and considered. Then opening and closing are specifically you need to declare and strict on that under the obligation of shop and commercial establishment. There are the certain measures you need to facilitate, like Factories Act, their health measures, safety measures, and welfare. Then the precautions against fire specifically and relevant records you need to maintain to comply the requirements under the Shop and Commercial Establishment Act. And up to certain obligations related to the payment of Bonus Act 1965. So there are certain specific obligations which required to fulfill. Otherwise, there are also the imprisonment, provision of imprisonment for 6 months and fine up to 1,000 rupees. Even though fine is very less under the obligations which require to fulfill under payment of Bonus Act 1965, but imprisonment for 6 months is a crucial part of the obligation and hampering the image of your employer. And under the Payment of Bonus Act 1965, the employer have to fulfill certain obligations, like they should be, it is applicable for every factory whom are employing 20 or more manpowers. But still, there sometimes the organization have that misconcept or conception related to the applicability of that. If there are, it is not up till 100 up to each employee, but it is specifically period. There are some certain limit, but it is only up till the 1,000 rupees. It is not more than that. So now, so there are certain obligations for shop and establishment. The OTR specifically, it should be 16.5 hour per month and quarterly 50 hours. So that is the limited or a limitation for the overtime under that shop and commercial establishment, as well as legally when that refer to the factories also, that come the legal requirement for that. When you consider in all the establishment what is the legal limit for the overtime, so that come the 16.5 hour in a month and 50 hours in a quarter overtime specifically. But there are the new changes happen where it has been changed today, so we will discuss it later when we discuss about the preview of the new labor codes. I'm talking here about the applicability of the payment of bonus act. So here you as a labor law compliance, you need to be considered that under the payment of bonus act there is one special provision: the new factories and establishment are not liable to pay payment of bonus for the 5 years. But here you need to consider that if you are establishing one separate unit in another location, another state, and you have the mother or parent organization on the same name in the other state, so that means your new organization or establishment, specifically your factory, that is not the new establishment, that is part of your establishment which has been already, which are already existed and established, so that you need to pay the bonus for that. And there is specifically the obligation for a minimum bonus pay at 8.33 of the salary or wage of individual, then submission of certain records and display of the notices under the payment of bonus act 1965. Okay. So now let's move to the next one, that is the obligation under Contract Labor Act 1970. So most of the organization, they have or dealing or engaging the contract labor as that one question is coming, payment of bonus is applicable for startup organization. It is applicable for all, but for the first 5 year it is not mandatory to pay the bonus act. When there are 20 or more employee you have in the organization, that you need to be, you need to pay the bonus act, bonus payment of bonus as per the bonus act 1965. But if that is a new organization, new establishment, till the 5 year it is not mandatory for you. If that is the startup, and startup is something that is registered under the companies as well as another that platform where is that is registered, so that accordingly it is not applicable till then 5 years from the beginning of that. So if they want to pay, so they can pay it. It is not for that they do not have to pay. If you are in the benefit and you want to pay that specifically the bonus, so you can pay that. But specifically for the new organization it is not mandatory till up till 5 years, but then after it become mandatory for your organization if you are engaging. We are discussing about the Contract Labor Act in 1970, as most or maximum number of organization they are engaging the contract manpower for their business, and for that it is required to fulfill certain obligations under the Contract Labor Act 1970. If certain obligations that are not fulfilled, so there are provision of the imprisonment as well as fine and cancellation of your registration certificate also. So what are the provision you required to, and what are the obligation under the Contract Labor Act 1970? You need, you means the employer is the only one person who is responsible for fulfill all the requirement under the applicable labor law. Then after he appoint the manager or represented to fulfill all those applicable labor laws requirement for that their organization. So then under the Contract Labor Act 1970 there are certain obligations like mandatory registration of the establishment, then after the who are engaging or who are engaging the contract labor in their organization, and then after So then after the restoration of establishment and the when the employer are engaging contract labor manpower, then the contractor license specifically under the Contract Labor Act 1970 and other related act. So if the contractor is primarily responsible for that, if he failed, so automatically responsibility will become or come in the obligation of employer, because the contractor did not employ those contractual manpower in their own premises. They employ them or deploy them at the premises of principal employer. So the principal employer is majorly responsible for every applicable labor law related to the contract labor. So Gunjan Patel is saying that in case any principal establishment given contract to other private organization and that private organization don't fill the organization all it their contract means, if that is the construction and other service contract, or as well as the here we are discussing about the contract related to the employee. And if ultimately the principal employer is who, principal employer is that in which particular location that contractual manpower is performing their services, so that is the principal employer. And the employer of that particular premises, he is solely responsible for complying all the obligations and requirement under the applicable labor law to them. If they are engaging the contract labor through the other vendor, so he is automatically responsible for that too. Then it comes the other obligation which required to fulfill, that is the facilitation of welfare, health and safety measures for the organization. So here one question is Manish saying, if the contract employee are completion of 200 days, then are they eligible for permanency or contract role? Yes, they can ask or they can claim that they are permanent employee if you are engaging them 200 more than 240 days. So that's why as a best practices you need to engage the contractual manpower. Here is not the question about contractor, the service provider. It here is specifically you need to assure about the individual as a contract labor, so that every person whom you are engaging as contract labor, so they should not be, so there are certain records you require to fulfill that. And under this Contract Labor Act 1970, that the it is the responsibility of principal employer to supervise all the obligations and compliance you require to fulfill, or the contractor required to fulfill under the Contract Labor Act 1975. So, as a principal employer, you need to assure that you need to supervise all that obligation fulfillment under the contract labor and the compliances which need to fulfill by the contract labor. Since we cannot have two CLRA license from a contractor and subcontractor, there whom you are providing. So one you will have the agreement or that CLRA. First is one your principal employer registration, then after the another one. If he is also engaging the third party, so that will be the contractual manpower for that person only. So you will have the CLRA only for that whom you are directly engaging as a contract. So let's begin further in this session. And similarly, as the Contract Labor Act 1970 and other act, there are certain obligations for the employer which are required to fulfill, and if that are not fulfilled, there are certain obligations. Similarly, there are the Payment of Wage Act of 1936 applicable to all the industries, even that are your primary industry, secondary industry, territory, and if we define them briefly, that are manufacturing, service, ITs and other. So all the organization, they need to fulfill the obligation under the Payment of Wage Act 1936. So there are certain obligations which the employer need to fulfill and assure for the authorities, and authorities that are incorporated and incepted by the appropriate government under the specific act. And there are the specifically under the Payment of Wage Act 1936, the principal employer is responsible for payment of any due to any person who has been deployed or employed by him, and all that required wage that need to be paid to him under this act, Wage Act 1936, the Payment of Wage Act 1936. And it is also the responsibility of the principal employer to fix a wage period for their organization when it required to be pay the amount, but it should not be exceed more than 30 days. Then the time and mode that also need to assure for existing as well as the terminated manpower. Like as kind of existing manpower, if there are manpower, you are engaging less than 1,000 numbers of manpower or workmen, or even total manpower, so it should be 7th of the preceding months, and exceeding that to the coming month, or otherwise if there are 1,000 plus, so it will be maximum 10th. And for the case of the exit manpower, so it should be at least within 2 days of the working 2 days, so that you need to assure their full and final. And for the gratuity case and other cases, so that may be separate, but add the dues for them on as part of their payment of wage that need to clear within 2 working days if the member has been terminated or removed from the organization, or he has been exit. So there are certain records you need to maintain, like register record return you require to submit, then display of the notices under each applicable act you need to display at a specific location where the maximum number or more maximum number of your employee commute, so it is the better location to display all those notice that are the abstract under the applicable labor laws at your gate entry, so that they can be assured the compliance there. And secondly, that should be in the two languages. One is the English, or another one is the local language which the most of manpower they can understand. So Munesh is asking one question, that is the suppose you have 500 manpower license, then how much minimum number should be workmen? You are asking about the, so there is not specifically mentioned that how much should be. It is about the total manpower you are engaging, even that are the workmen which known as blue collar, that are your white collar, so it is in term of the payment of wage, so it is for all. So it is not defined that 500 number, if all your manpower or number it is less than 1,000 number, so then you need to define the time period or a fixation of the wage period and the payment of wage period, that should be the 7th of that exceeding month. And if that are more than 1,000 or 1,000 number, so that will be maximum 10. Okay, if the contractor X having 10 manpower and his wife subcontractor have 60 manpower, so the contractor X is liable for the contract labor license under Contract Labor Act. So here, first of all, you need to assure that at your premises, how many numbers are there. So you have the agreement with whom? With the contract number X or contract Y, X. So total number, first of all, directly you have the agreement with the contract number X. So all that employee become their employee, first of all. Then after, if he is engaging the subcontractor 2, in that case, that in the they require the contract license for that. First of all, it is the principal employer for that subcontractor. So both the cases, both require the license if you are engaging that thing, that dual contract system or contract manpower system. So you need to assure that, and you need to check it point by and that first part is the person or the contract number X who have directly contract with you, because if they, that is the bypassing of the law. Specifically, you are engaging total number of the contractual manpower in your premises 70, for example, but who have the first X contract, who with whom you have the contract agreement, they have only the 10 number. So as per the law, the contract labor license is not applicable or not mandatory for that engaging 10 and that 10 number. It is for 20 number. When there will be some visit or something, so it will be the big trouble for principal employer. So you need to assure that whom they you are engaging as X, he should have the contract license for certain number, because when you are providing the RC to them, that the certificate in the form number 5 to them, so here there it should be mentioned that how much you are the contract manpower you are engaging, and further that should be as per the mentioned manpower. So here we are contract under the principal employer and we have 2 employee in our role, and many subcontractor have more than 10 employee. So CLR license is applicable for the contractor. So if they are 10, so in that case is no. When they become 20 in any day, last preceding month, if any day that number become 20, even you are engaging number certain number of contractual manpower. In the first case, for the principal employer, you need to register. If you are engaging the separate that different sub contractor, so they required minimum 20 numbers for the getting license. For your case, you need the registration when the total number of contractual manpower is more than 20 or more in your organization, even that is in a single day in the preceding 12 months. So you need to be assured about that. Then we are discussing about the payment of wage. If the certain obligation under payment of wage not fulfilled by the employer, so there are the provision of 1 month imprisonment and fine up to 1,000 rupees only. And similarly, the minimum wage act, that is also making principal employer more obliged and specific to fulfill all the obligation under this minimum wage act 1948. But there are not too much, but there are certain obligations which are mandatory and very crucial, that are like the wage. You cannot pay less than the prescribed minimum wage by the government. Question we will cover later on. Please note this question for the end of the question answer session. So we will cover this question at the end. So now here is related to the obligation under minimum wage. So here the principal employer, that you cannot pay the amount which has been prescribed minimum wage by the state government, that is known as appropriate government. Then you cannot also bifurcate the prescribed minimum wage in the different components. So that should be one only, even that you are paying that as basic, and then after you need to decide the mode for that rate and skill wise you need to implement in your organization. Then based on the implementation or complying all those obligations under the payment of wage act 1948, you need to maintain certain records and register under this act. And then after submission of the compliance status, means your return for the act, that is also mandatory. For minimum wage under the piece rate, it is not provided the gazette, then how we liable under the minimum wage in. So as per the notification, there is not mentioned specifically, but the act, if you go thoroughly there is also provided certain, if that are the piece rate worker, if that are the hourly worker, if that are the daily wager, so accordingly you need to consider that. The you need to assure whatever is that your piece rate are there, but it should not be, if you are paying them, your state has been prescribed minimum wage for 10,000 rupees, your wage rate is going to less than that minimum wage, so that will be the obligation for employer. If that piece rate is overall for the month is more than that, it will not be any issue. So you need to be consider that it should not be less than the minimum wage. Then if the obligation under the Minimum Wage Act 1948 not fulfilled, so there are the provision of 6 month imprisonment, then fine up to 1,000 rupees. Similarly, there are the certain obligation under the Payment of Gratuity Act 1972. Here is one thing which I want to confirm, as you are a labor law compliance leader, or as well as you are learning the advanced tool and technique under this master session today, so you should be aware about the gratuity is the one or the single act applicable law which provide the statutory right to the employee that they can ask or demand the gratuity in your organization. So you need to be very much specific about the employee who are completing the eligibility of payment of gratuity in your organization. As of now, that is 5 years. So you need to be very much assured about every member if he is in existing in your organization, and similarly if he has left. So you need to check their period of working within your organization. So for checking of the period for the eligibility, that is, if any person who have served your organization or year completely, and then after he had worked for 240 days in your organization, he is eligible for the payment of a gratuity. Then after, when you calculated that more that above than the eligibility period, then there should be the 6 month and 1 day will be considered 1 year, and the 5 month and 29 days will be considered only the previous year, means not 1.5 year, it will be 1 year only. So there are certain obligations specifically that you need to pay the gratuity to anyone who become eligible for that, and if he has left the organization specifically to prepare the data. Even that major of the all organization, they have their HRMS data which are updated all the time, but as a labor law compliance specialist and leader, you need to be very much specific about the gratuity, because gratuity is the one act which provide statutory right to the employee to demand gratuity for their services if they have completed 5 years in your organization. So there, if these certain obligation under the Payment of Gratuity Act not fulfilled, so there are the provision of the imprisonment 1 year and fine up to thousands rupees. Similarly, there are the existing labor act or the Social Security Act related to the EPFO and ESIC. So there are certain obligation for the employer they need to fulfill, like the coverage of the organization under EPFO, it is mandatory. So even it has been revised for the 10, and then deduction, recovery, and remittance of the contribution, it is the responsibility of the principal employer. So that you need to be very much specific if you are engaging the contract labor manpower, and for those you need to be very much specific that their contribution, it should be deducted properly, recovered and remitted as applicable, as well as the deducting as per the regulations. Otherwise it will be a big trouble for the principal employer. Then certain record you need to be maintained under this act. However, the ESIC and PF, it is the digital now, but you need to be very much assured about the deduction, recovery and remittance for that, and submission of the certain records under that. Then you need to display the notice under this act, which is known as abstract under the EPFO Act 1952. If the certain obligation that are not fulfilled, there is a provision of the imprisonment 1 year, and then after the fine up to 5,000 rupees. Even that if there are certain cases under 7A and other, then it will be more than that, but initially it is the 5,000 rupees for that certain cases like deduction and not properly coverage under the EPFO. Then similarly, as per the ESIC Act, so that is also certain cases for claiming PF exemption in washing allowance. Please provide the maximum washing allowance which can be provided. Okay, so there we have already prepared certain representation for you. You will get that all those template related to the structuring of your salary and considering of the PF for certain. So then after the employee have certain obligation under the ESIC Act 1948 which you require to fulfill. If not fulfilled, so there is a provision of 3 years of few company washing allowance, that is charges. Or what is charges? 30%. You are talking about the PF contribution. PF is, yes, so it is 30% in case of there is a 12% and there is total 24%. Then administration charges also there, so that is 1%. So for the contractor or some, it is the 30% for there to submitting, because the administration charges which is submitting by the employer as well as if that are contractor. In case of the contractual, so the 13% of that is as per the law. Washing allowance, it should not be more than 300 per month, means 3600 for the year. So now let's begin. This is about the ESIC which you need to fulfill all the obligations, and there, as we have discussed, the certain provision under the labor laws which are the imprisonment and the fine that will impact the image your employer, that their business reputation, as well as impact financially to the organization. So as a labor law compliance administrator or specialist or a leader, you need to very much aware about that. And in the second phase, what are the strategies I'm sharing with you that will also definitely rebuild your credibility allowance, as it is not as breakup as per the act specifically. So it should be 300 rupees as per the income tax also. So that is also the part of that where the tax is not tax is exempted. So that is the 3600 annually. So it is, you can divide it for the 12 months, so it become around 300 per month. So it is not specifically when we go to the that washing allowances, it come for when you draw the salary structure for your organization, restructuring your salary. So it come the specifically for the exemption of tax first. So that washing allowances, some certain LPAs that come the part under the income tax act, and accordingly you need to restructure that. If that is for a further reason that you are specifically making certain provision for that to exempting from ESIC, that is wrong practice. Correct that. Otherwise, when there will be certain inspection or certain that scrutiny related to the ESI and PF, it will be big trouble for you, and that you need to pay too much money to the authorities or the EPF and ESIC. So correct it, because mostly your structure should be as per the income tax act, that income tax act, so that all that component which you are providing there is providing the certain exemptions. That exemption also correlated with the ESIC, PFIC and PF, EPFO. And when there will be certain scrutiny related to the your ESIC and PF, so it will be big trouble for the principal employer as well as the employer. So that you need to be assured about that allowances for specifically getting the benefit or providing the benefit to employee, that not considering the requirement of labor law. It is a bad practices and wrong practices for considering the exemption under ESIC and PF for accounting specifically the washing allowance. So here, let's move further with the obligation under the Industrial Standing Order Act 1946. For the ESIC purpose, that you need to be recover all that what you are paying for them. So it should be the whole. It is 4% total, and that should be cover all that wages what you are paying, because washing allowance you will not provide them. If that is a work done, whatever the wage you have provided, it will be based on that whole amount, and you need to consider their breakup accordingly. Although PF is not that mandatory, but that ESIC is mandatory for the in this case if you are getting some job work for temporary work. So let's begin with the obligation under the Industrial Standing Order 1946. The Industrial Standing Order is one of the act which define the condition of working in your organization. Although specifically there are a provision for that, if you are engaging as of now the existing labor law, you are engaging the manpower less than 100, it is specifically for the workmen less than 100, so you need to consider or follow the model standing order. But if your manpower increased more than 100 numbers, so you need to get a certified standing order for that. And the standing order is specifically the code of conduct for the employee in your organization. And you can also say that, so state specific, we are not that state specific, other state there is 100 also, it as per the central law. So there are the 100 number as of now, but now the central has been that incorporated this in the new labor code, it will be 300. So in that case, so it will be revised also. So state specific they can amend, they have given the provision for related to the special rule. Under the central rule they can revise that according to their situation and their that policy related to the empowering the businesses as well as promoting the employment in their state. So they can have the different state, we have in India 28 state, they may have a different provision for that. Some states there is also 50 number, then some required 70 or 100 number. So accordingly it has been due to the COVID situation they have changed it. And the central rule, for central rule which is coming as per the new labor code, so it is 300. When the number is 300 and more, it will become applicable. But it is not that new codes are not implemented as of now. The expected date is 1st of October, but it is not assured because there are still so many open holes in those act now. So it may be go further by 2022 January. We are assured that it will be implemented from them, but there are certain notification when that come in the gazette, then it will be become implemented or applicable for all the organization. So here still the industrial standing order 1946, that you required the certain certified standing order if there are 100 as per the central rule. State specific they have revised that due to that corona period, many state have revised it for the 50 200, accordingly they have changed. Like there are 6 and 7 state who have changed this provision for 200. The social security, if you are providing the job work, so job work definition is specifically you are, they are not on roll or something, then they will become and perform certain job or certain amount of period, their social security you need to provide and collect them from on the deduction or the payout you have made for their contractor as well as to as you are engaging them. If you are engaging the daily wages, say that you need also to deduct for those people also. Let's begin with the next one is the important part of the obligation under the as the applicable labor law for the organization, that is the POSH Act 2013. And under the POSH Act 2013 there are certain provisions prescribed and the certain obligations for the employer. If those are not fulfilled, there are the provision of 1 lakh fine and the cancellation of a business license if you are not fulfilling the obligation under POSH Act 2013. So what are the obligation you need to be? If there are in your organization 10 or more employee, that you need to constitute internal complaint committee. Even there is no female worker in your organization, this committee you need to constitute. Then you need to frame policy for the prohibition and prevention of the harassment of women at workplace, and that you need to define. Then the order you need to display at the notice board that you have constituted the internal complaint committee under the POSH Act 2013. Then you need to display at the every panel consequency which come to the committee and their ability, what are the provisions. So it is the obligation for principal employer that you need to fulfill. Accordingly, there is mandatory provision related to the etiquette training on the POSH law to the IC member, internal committee or complaint committee members. Then you need to provide the periodic awareness session to each and every employee to penetrate or sensitization of this program or requirement under the POSH Act 2013. Then you need to submit the annual report to the district officer, and facilitation you require to provide. So as mentioned, if certain obligation under this act not fulfilled, there are the provision of the 1 lakh rupees fine and cancellation of your business license or registration. So it will be a big trouble for the organization if these obligations are not fulfilled. Similarly, as you are the leader of related to the compliance holder, so it is your responsibility, you are the representative of the employer, you need to consider these obligations toward the requirement under the applicable labor law and fulfill them as required in the applicable labor law special requirements. So now this was all about the applicable labor laws we have considered in considering the manufacturing setup. However, these are the existing labor law which are applicable for all the industrial setups in India. Then after it come to the next phase, that is the obligation new labor codes and the preview with labor codes. So what will happen when these new codes will implemented, and what are your preparation, what should be your ideal preparation to comply with these new codes. So as of now, first let's have an overview of the new codes. So in the 2019-2020, the central government merged 29 of the existing labor code under 4 new labor code. So what are those? So the 4 new labor codes you are well aware already. So here I am also giving you a glimpse of that. The wage code 2019. Under this code, the 4 new, not new, the existing labor act which regulate the wage, that are the minimum wage act, payment of wage act, payment of bonus act, and equal remuneration act are merged under the wage code 2019. Then the second code is the industrial relation code 2020, and the existing 4 center rule or regulation center act has been merged under the industrial relation code 2020, that are your trade union act 1926, then your industrial employment standing order act 1946, and the industrial dispute act 1946, as well as the weekly holiday act 1942. These 4 center law or act has been merged under the industrial relation code 2020. Then the new code, the occupational safety health and working condition code 2020, there are certain 7 to 9 existing code has been merged under this existing act has been merged under this new code, the occupational safety health and working condition, that are the factories act, mine act, dock, building and other work, contractor labor, interstate migrant, and sale promotion. Then come to the social security code, very important, it is going to be very important when it will be implemented. So there are certain codes which regulate existing act or law which regulate the social security in organization, that has been merged under the social security code 2020, the employee compensation, insurance act, state insurance, employee provident, maternity benefit. I was discussing about the new labor code. So as here the social security code 2020, so there are 7 different existing labor act has been merged under this code, that are your that employee compensation act 1923, that your employee state insurance act 1948, then employee provident fund act 1950, maternity benefit act 1961, payment of gratuity act 1972, and then the employment exchange and building and other construction work. So accordingly, the 4 new labor code has been introduced and are ready for implementation, and under these 4 different labor code, 29 central act has been merged and compiled for the 4 different these 4 existing or the new labor code. So what these labor codes are exactly, and how you need to be very much aware and specific about to how you can comply under these different or the new labor act which are going to be introduced or not introduced or implement from the October 1st 2021 as of now, but it is not notified as of now. It is 5th of September today, so there is only 25 days remain in the month of September. So it is not notified as of now that when it will be actually implemented. So there are certain open points also which the executive committee for the new labor codes are working on that. So expected these codes will be implemented by new year of 2022. Preview with the new labor codes, so that four codes, what will be the scenario when these new codes will be happen. So just have a look in the statutory requirement in comparison of the existing labor codes as well as the coming of the new labor code. The existing labor acts as of now, that are not the codes, that are the acts and law, then that has been merged in the four new codes. So as if we see in the registration or the register which we are maintaining the records as of now, so that are around 40 number of records we are maintaining in form of register, different register. When these four new labor acts will be implemented, it will be remain only 11. Then in the return, in different applicable existing labor law, we are submitting near about 22 different and consolidated different returns to the authorities under the existing labor law. When these four new codes will be implemented, so there will be only four returns which require to submit. Then the license related, earlier there were two license and now it will become three. Then related to display the abstract under the applicable labor laws, so that earlier it was 20 and now it will be 13. And then the registration is as of now in the existing under the existing labor codes. In existing labor act it is 5, and it after the implementation of new codes it will be just 3. Then remittance are remain same 2 under ESIC and PF act. So let's have a overview at the obligation scenario which we had discussed in the beginning, that the labor law is specifically happening. It is the opportunity for the labor law leader, establish that administrator and the specialist that recreate your credibility in the organization, and you need to create that USP for yourself, because the new labor code when it will be implemented, it will impact the organization financially too much. So it is the opportunity for you to go deep in those labor codes and their requirement, so that you can fulfill all the obligations under these codes to your organization or toward your organization. So in that certain case, what we can see, if in preview of the code on page 2019 and the four existing labor code has been merged in that, so the obligation concern earlier, there were the provision of fines for certain obligation under these four existing acts. So there was a fine 500 rupees minimum to 20,000 rupees maximum, and the provision of imprisonment was only up till 6 months. But when these new four codes will be implemented, then the fine will be minimum 20,000 rupees and maximum 50,000 rupees. If it will be the multiple non-fulfillment of the obligation, so it will be too much financial impact for the organization. As well as the imprisonment provision has been removed under the new wage code related to the existing act regulated the wage for your organization as well as for your employees. Similarly, as the wage on code, so there is the another code, the industrial code Industrial Relation Code 2020. So in that, the three existing Labor Act has been merged under that. So there earlier there were provision of fine of minimum 100 rupees and maximum 5,000 rupees. But when these new labor codes will be implemented, specifically the Industrial Relation Code 2020, so the fine provision has been changed too much, and your it will impact your employer financially too much. Like the provision of fine under the Industrial Relation Code 2020 is minimum 50,000 rupees and maximum 2 lakh rupees. So if there are multiple non fulfill of the obligation, or the no that multiple obligations under this new code, so there will be the too much financial impact, and you have to pay too much amount to the authorities as a fine for not fulfilling the obligation under the Industrial Relation Code 2020. So there is also the provision of the imprisonment added. Earlier it was not as per the existing labor law, but now it has been added that up to 1 year of imprisonment will happen there if you are not fulfilling the obligation under the new code. Then code on social security, near about 7 to 9 the different existing labor code has been merged under this new code. So there the provision of fine, it was earlier minimum 500 rupees and maximum 20,000 rupees, and the provision of imprisonment, it is up till 3 years only, minimum 3 months and then maximum 3 years. But when the new code on social security will be implemented, the fine provision that will be defined, which will be imposed to the employer for non fulfillment of the obligation, it will be minimum 50,000 rupees and maximum 1 lakh rupees under certain requirements and obligation under this act. And then imprisonment provision, it will be minimum 6 months and maximum 3 years for different non-fulfillment of obligation under the code on social security 2020. Then after it come to the code occupational safety health and working condition 2020. So there are certain existing labor act which has been merged, and in the purview of the obligation and their further impact related to the financial as well as impacting the image, business, and the reputation of your employer. The fine earlier or in with the existing labor law, it is minimum 500 rupees and maximum 1 lakh rupees, and provision of imprisonment, it is minimum 6 months and minimum 3 months and maximum 2 years. But when the new code will be implemented, the fine has been increased, and that will impose to the employer too much. It is minimum 50,000 rupees and maximum 5 lakh rupees. And the imprisonment, according to the condition and the guilty found in the litigation, then it will be up till 2 years in all the non-fulfilled obligations. So this is the scenario what is happening when these new labor codes will be implemented, so that you need to be very much aware about these new codes and their requirement when you are becoming a labor law compliance specialist. So you need to learn these practical aspect of under these new codes and their applicability, their obligations, and how to fulfill and maintain those obligations, not maintain, specifically fulfill those obligations and comply with the process of the authorities. For that you need to learn that specifically. So let's begin with here. When we understand all these four new codes, so what is going to happen? So there are certain points come in mind specifically that you need to consider. Before that, you need to check your organization, you need to plan preparation before that these acts will become applicable, that will be implemented not from the 1st October but later on from the January 2020. But you need to be very much assured for that, prepared for that, that will these four new codes will be definitely implemented, but not as of now. It is expected not from the 1st October, or otherwise it will be from a December or the 1st January, but it is sure that it will be implemented and you need to be prepared for that. So for that, you're understanding what are the major changes happening, and accordingly what you need to prepare. We have prepared a representation for you, what you need to be checked. So if we talk in respect of the new wage code 2019, so there, what happened? Specifically, the wage code define and regulate the wages. So earlier, for the different code, as for different labor acts which are existing, so there are the definition for wage are different definition provided. That are the 16 different definition applicable under the existing labor codes. And there are the one best thing which has been incorporated, and the change will be happen when these new act will become. There will be one uniform definition for all codes, considering the wage definition for under these four new codes. And it is also there has been provided the specific component what should be in your wage, that is your basic pay and dearness allowances, then the retaining allowances that should be here. But one another specific concept and the requirement has been added, that your basic pay should be 50% of your total wage you are providing to the your employee. Now it come to be that specific, that what should be, it has mentioned that CTC, but CTC have the part of your retiral also. But when you need to, when you have to implement this requirement of the new code, the wage code 2019, so here the total wage is the gross salary, and your basic wage should be 50% of that. All the calculation, when these new codes will be implemented, that will be affected with the 50% of basic wage. And these changes, when it will be implemented, that will impact financially the employer as well as the employee. Financially, it will be impact the cost, means their cost will increase, but for employee, their take home salary will be reduced, even though their social security part will be increased, but their immediate cash which they are bringing, or if you are also the employee, you are bringing to your home, that will be decreased. Then under these new codes, the separate definition for worker and employee has been provided. So earlier, all the manpower you are utilizing in or engaging in an organization, except your principal employer or your occupier, all are the workers. But now there it has been prescribed and specifically mentioned the definition of the different definition for worker specifies and cleared, then employee it has been clarified in that. Then the provision of the floor wage concept has been introduced. Based on that, your appropriate government, means the state government, will prescribe the minimum wage based on that floor wage. So it will be based on the three criteria. One is your urban, then the suburban, as well as the rural area. And accordingly, the floor wage will be decided for the industries, specifically the urban and then suburban and then the rural area. Then after the provision related to the period and payment of wage, that has been specifically tribes here, that the even that any number of manpower you are engaging, the payment for that it should be seventh for all. Earlier there was 4,000, 10,000, 10th of the next month, and now it has the 7th of every month. and then maximum exceeding of 30 days of that due payment. Then the provision of standing order also 300 worker, as we have discussed earlier too. Then there was a provision of the grievance redressal committee, 20 or more worker, it is mandatory now. Then provision for the aggregator has been incorporated in these new labor codes. Then the reduction is gratuity period, 3 years, and specifically for the unorganized sector and the gig economy and the gig employee or the workforces, it has been also incorporated in that. Then there is the provision, the free annual health checkup for every and each employee. It has become mandatory and made mandatory for the every employer. Then limit leave encashment, that is also strengthened and clarified here specifically. Employment of women after 7 p.m. and to 6 a.m., it has been incorporated there, but the employer need to assure certain provision for that, and that has been allowed for the 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. working. Then for employee consent specifically required if you are engaging the employee on overtime, and you need to assure the double pay of that. So considering of all these specifically, here are the major impact which you need to require, and the certain point you need to consider, that is your the payment structure or your restructuring of your wage now, that 50% of your basic wage for your total salary. So here we have prepared one small representation for you to understand how you can restructure your salary and what you have to consider there accordingly. Then there it will also show to you the cost impact in respect of both employer and employee too. So here I'm sharing with you that one file. Okay, so this is the one file we have prepared as per the minimum wage act, and this appropriate government has provided provision to that they decide their minimum wage for their state. So as of now, the particular specifically for the way and that minimum wage which notified by the government, appropriate government means the state, that the state specific government. So there is the basic pay and DA. This is the concept related to the minimum wage. So minimum wage is included the basic wage for that particular skill level, and then the dearness allowances, and dearness allowances that has been arrived and revised after every 6 months related to the changes in inflation. Then accordingly, if in considering of the contribution for provident fund under the new code, what will happen? So here one scenario we have prepared for you. Likewise, if any employee you are engaging as per the existing code and the contribution deduction for the PF, so their basic wage as of now it is 8, then you are providing the house rent 4,000 rupees, then total salary is 12,000 rupees. So accordingly, that capping of the 15,000 rupees your contribution at for the PF contribution 50,000 rupees capping. So their contribution for PF it is 960. As of now, you are paying or remitting the contribution. But when this new code of social security will be implemented, and then wage cannot be splitted, so it will be calculated based on the whole wage. And second scenario, it come to the that there is the total the minimum wage, that is the 12,000 rupees, and you are paying the 4,000 rupees of your house rent allowances, then conveyance and washing as discussed earlier. So as per the tax deduction, it is 3,600 annually, but you can also utilize it up till 2,000 rupees monthly. Then it come to the total 20,000 rupees of your salary. In that case, there is a capping of, as per the existing contribution deduction under the PF Act, it come the 1,800 capping of 15,000 rupees. But when the new code, it will be based on that minimum wage, even that is 50%, more than 50% of the total wage you are providing. Similarly, in the scenario of the third, then there are, you are engaging certain employee whose salary are 24,000 rupees. So in that case, the basic wage should be 50% of that. The minimum wage you considering 12,000 rupees. Accordingly, the PF contribution you need to remain pay same as 1440 rupees as per the new code. And existing, it is only the capping of 15,000 and maximum 1,800 rupees you are paying. Similarly, the scenario for considering the international worker, if you are engaging them, then after the that gratuity under the new social security code, the provision of gratuity and calculation, what will happen? As per now, it is on the basic, and then if it is the 12,500 rupees basic, and for the 10-year, for example, it will become the 72,115 rupees. But when this new wage, the social security code will be implemented, it will increase the 50% of basic of your total salary. Then it will be 82,000 rupees 211 rupees in the part of gratuity. So here it will increase the contribution or the financial impact to the employer. So then after the retrenchment case, on the same scenario, it will be all the scenario is applicable for even the white collar, or so it is applicable for all. Specifically you are that codes are related to the all employee, even though that if the gigs employee has been engaged in this, so it will be to all the employees you are engaging in the organization. The same representation related to the other compensation under the act. And then after the we have prepared it related to the working condition, safety and their other provision. And then after the calculation of the tax, how you need to consider that, this whole worksheet, this you will receive after finishing of this master class today, or otherwise late in the today night, or otherwise tomorrow you will receive all these documents or templates we are utilizing in this master class today. So this was a small representation related to your minimum wage, considering as part of, because there is not mentioned the minimum wage specifically. So it should be the wage 50% of total salary. So 50% of total salary. So if you are considering the minimum wage for workmen, if even that is a manager and you are paying the 25K, so that the minimum wage, that basic pay will be 50% of that. Not the 25 is also the CTC, but the gross wage or gross salary you need to consider for that. And this file, it will be received to you for your references and future uses. You can utilize it for yourself. So now let's begin with the further one. So this was all about the scenario and the purview of existing labor laws, as well as the purview related to the new codes. Now we have completed the session one or section one of this master class. Now it is the second, the major portion of this master class, which will provide you a great learning and advanced process and technique how to maintain that the compliance management portfolio in your organization. So here I am sharing certain tools, templates with you, that all templates you will receive after completion of this course by end of today, otherwise tomorrow before noon, all that templates which we are using here. So let's begin with this new section, the statutory compliance management for portfolio, how you can create that. As I have mentioned that for a specific quality of labor law compliance specialist, now this part is coming here, how you can create that for quality of successful labor law compliance specialist, and create the USP for your career, that you can brand your, you can provide a brand for you and label yourself as a brand, as a labor law specialist, and label a certain amount for yourself. So let's begin with this session, section 2. Now here I'm sharing with you. So first of all, The statutory compliance management portfolio have specific based on three pillars. So what are those pillars? So that is the number one is the structure. First, you have to understand what is the exact structure, how you need to maintain it, what are the certain requirements you need to follow to that, so that you can maintain a certain compliance management portfolio in your organization that will create your USP. You will learn that for success skill of the labor law compliance specialist, as well as that it will also rebuild your credibility in the organization, as well as individual, as well as your department, that colleague or department member. So it is this advanced techniques or advanced formula I'm sharing with you, how you can reach that level and you can develop these four specific quality of the successful leaders of labor law compliances, then create that USP for you and rebuild your credibility, and really you can become now a human resource business partner where you can save too much money of your employer, which will be imposed to you when these compliances are not fulfilled. So first of all, here in this three pillar of formulation the compliance management portfolio, the first pillar is the three layer of compliance structure. So in every compliance which are the labor law applicable for your organization, that are specifically based on these three layers. So first layer is approvals. You need to obtain certain approvals from the appropriate government and their assigned authorities when these applicable labor laws become applicable for your organization. Then there are, you need to make the provision for that, and after arranging or the providing provision for that certain requirement under the applicable labor law, then you need to maintain certain records in the form of register. Then third layer is also the submitting of the returns. The return submission is the part of that compliance you are adhering, you are complying as per the requirement of authority, not the requirement of your management. It is the requirement of authorities. They have certain obligation, they have certain process decided. You need to understand that process, you need to work according to that process. That process I'm here sharing with you the advanced formula, how you can reach to that level where your employer can say that they are specifically adhering all the regulation under the applicable labor laws. So then before going forward, here I'm sharing one scenario with you, how you can go with this formula and what you need to be consider for that. When you conduct a labor law compliance, what you need to be considered. So as I have mentioned, we are considering the perspective of the manufacturing organization. So here we have also prepared certain representation for you. So I'm sharing that with you here right away. So if you are the compliance leader for the factory perspective, so what you need to assure while preparing this compliance scenario for your organization. So how you can go with that. So here I'm sharing this sheet specifically with you, how you can conduct the, how you can reach to that level of the compliance labor law compliance management portfolio. So in the respect of the factory, there are certain points I'm sharing with you what you need to consider. Similarly, you will have to do the basic work in your organization, then reach to the level of your compliance management portfolio. That in considering of the factory case, there are certain points you need to check out that are specifically the obligations under different labor law as the factory. So there the bed and that valid factory license and it's a renewal on time that you need to check. Then certain applicable returns under this act you need to check out. Then it's that filled properly and all that required supporting has been attached with that, or are that data you are furnishing that are verified and multi-checked. You need to be assured that as a labor law compliance leader. So how you will do all that, I will share that further, how you can reach to that formulation. Then there are the provision of half yearly return and month return, you need to prepare that. Then there are certain provision if there are the accident happen, so that you need to be submit certain reports to the authority that you need to assure. Then the overtime wage, you are paying that double rate of the ordinary wage that you need to assure and check in your organization. Then all the register which are prescribed under the Factories Act that are maintained and retained as per the period prescribed under the Factories Act 1948. Then in come to the case of Contract Labor Act, so there are certain obligations and the point you need to confirm while preparing or creating this compliance management portfolio for your organization. Then the Payment of Bonus Act, as mentioned, so there are certain obligation and the particular records and provision you need to check that. Then Payment of Wage Act, like the register and record that are maintained, then return under that that has been submitted, the wage paid above the minimum rate of wage, then wage paid as per the time mentioned and prescribed in the act that you need to be checked and assured. As for the case of payment of gratuity, as mentioned, that every employee you have to be checked in your organization who have completed the 5 year. If that are existing, then it is okay. If had that has been exit your organization, so it is mandatory, you need to pay their gratuity and you need to check that is that paid or not. Then under the EPF and ESIC Act, to certain points you need to check that their UN number generated or provided under the EPFO, then ESIC card and number issued to everyone, then proper deduction under that both PF and ESIC contribution and their contribution submitted on time. Then the industrial standing order, certain thing you need to be considered in your organization, otherwise it is applicable for all the organizations and you need to consider the model standing order and check all the points under that. Then there are the Industrial Dispute Act, so there are a certain provision of committees, so that committees should be constituted in your organization, as well as there should be the proper record maintained as per their meetings, as per their meets once in every quarter. Then that you need to maintain the records of that. Then safety compliances, specifically you need to consider certain point for that. Add the compliance in term of the member and committees that you need to be assured. So this is a representative what are the points you need to consider. So this file will also reach to you, and further based on this particular activities, and there we have prepared for you the broad concept how you can reach and create that. So Munesh is saying that every member will receive all those templates we are utilizing in this master class. You will receive all those templates by today, before end of this day, otherwise tomorrow before noon. Definitely these documents are committed and we are sharing all that with you. So let's begin further. As we are sharing here the three layer of structure. So first layer is related to the approval and register, and so accordingly the representative we have shared with you, accordingly you need to check all the certain points and what you have to check so that you are learning in this master class today. Then it come to the next one, how to reach that three layers of. So here now I'm sharing with you the three layers of structure related to the labor law compliance. So what you have to do for that, here I'm sharing with you the another formulation based on this smaller representation which I have shared with you, so that you have to prepare a wide level of concept for that, and we have prepared certain formulation for your understanding and working so that you can utilize it for further your references as well as for your learning. So now here I'm sharing one broad checklist that what you need to prepare based on the following the three layer of structure. So here I'm sharing with you one checklist, that is the master checklist. You can utilize that a visual checklist for your organization, that it will help you to make you the vigilant and foresighted, the four two qualities of the successful labor law compliance specialist. So that is the number one, the number one quality of the labor law compliance specialist is the vigilant, and number two quality is the foresighted. So this master template at the master sheet and the checklist which I'm sharing with you, that will ensure your true skills. And this is the 1.5 pages structure where all that required applicable compliance related requirement you need to fulfill in the organization. So as per the three layers I have mentioned, so that first there is the government approvals. What are the government approvals? You need to prepare certain checklist for that, when they are applicable, what is their status, so that you need to place such master data in front of your desk so that it will be visible for you all the time, so that you can know and become aware and foresighted when that renewal of certain that approvals are required, and when you need to get preparation for renewal of certain your approvals. Then it come to the second layer related to the records specifically. Then as per the applicable labor acts for your organization, what are the records you required to maintain under this act, and what is their frequency, who will be responsible, and what is the status. This is the one visualization chart which you can utilize for your desktop or as well as in your desk. There it will be make you the vigilant first. Vigilant means what is the next applicable requirement coming in your organization that you require to fulfill, so that before time you can prepare that and obtain all that approvals and maintain all the records accordingly. Then there are the certain displays which are required, and what are the timing and frequency as per the center law, a central rule for the act applicable, as well as the state have the same frequency for that, but the form number may differ, and some small specific that requirement has been changed by the state, otherwise that are same. Then it come to the third layer, submitting of the status of the compliance, you are complying as per the law, that it come to the different returns and record you need to submit, so that you can utilize this master checklist as a visual sheet in front of your desk, and where you frequently utilize your space of working, that it will make up you more, it will make you more vigilant and foresighted related to the labor laws, so that all the obligation can be fulfilled under the labor. This master sheet will be reached to you as it is that we are using in this session today. Then after, let's go further, and the next, when you have to reach to this level in your portfolio, then it come to the next level, that are the your process. The second pillar is the three layer of process in the labor law compliance management portfolio. So what is that three layer of process? As similarly there are three layer of structures, so there are the three layer of process. One is your internal compliance, second one is your agency compliances, and third one is your labor department or authority compliance. So specifically the compliance you are making or complying, that should be as per the requirement of the your labor law or the department, what are their process, how you can assure that. Here I'm sharing one specific formula with you where you can work one step ahead to the agencies, how they are working, what is their provision and procedure for complying and assessing your compliance status in the organization, how you need to work beyond their working. So here I'm sharing with you one formulation. So for that, what you need to do, so here I'm sharing with you one small data which will help you to create this compliance management portfolio for your organization. So what is that? Just have a look on this. So I'm sharing with you based on that master sheet I have shared with you. So for that, you need to work on the background, how that master checklist and a master visualization sheet come to your desk. So for that, you need to work at the back end. So for that back end, we have prepared certain templates for you which will be utilized, which you can utilize. All that data we are sharing here, that will reach to you in the same forms and format, so that you can utilize. So first of all, this specifically data is how you can maintain the compliance portfolio in your organization. What are the specific basic things you require to assure and check during maintaining the compliance portfolio in your organization. So all the applicable laws, specifically what are the sections and their rules prescribing, and what should be your status for that. So accordingly, you can utilize this. This is as per the central rule as well as the state specific. It may be little bit change, but you need to refer for that your state rule, or otherwise you can use this master sheet or the checklist as same for your requirement. So here everything we have provided that under this section, this following requirement has been prescribed, and for that you need to just check out that your certificate are available for that, and status compliances is available, who is the responsible person, and then the person of in charge for that, then periodically their frequency, if there are certain gap, what are your action you need to be confirm that, and you need to incorporate that in the sheet. Then accordingly you need to be make responsible that individual who is responsible for that, so that you can create that portfolio, the compliance, statutory compliance portfolio in the organization. Here is I have one suggestion for you. When you are a labor law compliance administrator or becoming a leader in that, so that you need to constitute a compliance committee in your organization, that will help you to in all your compliance related work, as well as the you are because the data you cannot prepare that by yourself. You need to take support of the other sections, and they will put that data to you. So here you need to create one compliance committee for your organization, so that your compliance can be 100% assured. So accordingly, if there is a factories and the factory act is applicable for you, this certain obligations and requirement mentioned, accordingly you can put all that according to your specific organization. Then check out the status of, if there is the industrial order standing order act 1940, all that A to 9 act we have discussed during the this session. Say all that we have covered here, and then you can utilize this master sheet for checking the knowing the status or assessing your organization based on the requirement under the applicable labor laws for your organization. So this master sheet will also come to you as it is for your references and uses. So let's begin the next one. So here we are discussing about the, someone is asking question here, Pratik, thank you. So now there are further more formulas which we have prepared specifically for you, how you can reach to the level of the statutory compliance, because our purpose is to create that USP for enhancing your career and succeed tremendously in your career and reach to a specific level and create a brand value for yourself. So here we are discussing about the process of the compliance. So first layer is internal compliance committee. So for that, what you have to do for that internal compliance, it you can do it by yourself, but you need for that third party viewpoint. So how that third party viewpoint can become, you need to engage the HODs of certain department in your compliance committee so that they can provide you the third party viewpoint, and they will also help you all that data you required before the time. It will also help you to exhibit your leadership quality in your organization. So further, what you have to do for that, how you can reach to this particular level, so that I have shared with you this checklist that we have prepared specifically for you. You can utilize it as it is. Then go to the internal compliance. What you have to do when you have to reach to this specific level. So we have divided it in the small steps where you can reach to the level of finally the statutory compliance management portfolio in your organization. So the next one is in the internal compliance. What you have to do, so you need to prepare certain checklist. So we have also prepared one templates for you how you can reach to that level when you have to assess your organization. Here in the first layer, it is yourself. So first you need to assess your organization, are that compliant as per the master sheet I have shared with you. Then you need to prepare the certain approval required, then status of that. Actually, based on that, you need to provide the plan of that when you are doing, and then after the actual status for that, it will be based on their frequency as well as the person of responsible, which is known as PIC, person of concern, related on that. So this internal compliance checklist or the sheet or template, it will be reached to you for your references and utilization, where you need to be plan according to that master data sheet, that what is your plan and when you are compliant. First you need to check the status, and then after, when there are certain obligations or requirement which are not fulfilled, and in that particular case you need to prepare such types of your master sheet, and where you need to incorporate your plan and then accordingly their status when you are fulfilling that, and that period, what is the actual status of that time, have you fulfilled that based on the plan. So when you prepare certain data or this master checklist, you utilize this, it will create the third quality of the compliance leader, or develop that third quality of compliance leader in yourself to become with a labor law compliance specialist, that is the accountable. So this will become make you accountable for that steps or the action you have chosen to create that manage and labor law compliance management portfolio in your organization. So this sheet will also reach to you as it is for your references and utilization. So let's begin further, and that is the agency's compliance. So there, as per the contract labor act, so you have certain agencies like that are the your vendors. So that contract labor is also making the principal employer assure that responsible for every compliance under the contract labor act. You need to assure and supervise that. So now here I'm sharing with you one specific template what you can utilize and assure the compliance of your vendors or your agencies. So let's have a look of this. That specific checklist we have prepared, and this is your action template what you can utilize for the complying and knowing the status of compliance and supervise the compliance status of your agencies, even that are contractor or a subcontractor, even that your vendor. whom you are going for the supervising the compliance. So for that, if that is a, for example, if it is a contractor, so specifically you need to utilize a certain, you need to consider the certain parameter and requirement under the contract labor act and the other applicable labor law for the contractor. So if that is a contract case, what you need to check certain their contractor license and their certificate provided by the principal employer, their validity, then the form 5 which has been given as a certificate from the principal employer, and the number of approved contractor or that the manpower which are providing. So that you need to check that that is due for renewal and that is as per the prescribed format. Then their status you need to check out. Then if you have certain findings, you need to mark that. Then their action plan you need to provide and give them a certain time to fulfill all these requirement and comply all these requirement under the act. And similarly, it is, so here I have one that suggestion for you as becoming the specialist in labor law compliance. So you need to adopt or develop the process for assessing your agencies or your vendors. So you need to prepare the structure of their periodical audit and compliance. It should be at least quarterly. So there are certain obligations. If that contractual your vendors that are not fulfilling, it will become the responsibility of principal employer. So this Excel sheet will also reach to you as it is for the your references and your uses. So let's become to the next one. So next one is the one important part, and that is related to your the compliance related to when it is the authorities inspection. So further, ultimately the compliance is the part of any regulation or any obligation under the applicable labor law towards the employer that you need to fulfill, so that all the compliances you are maintaining in your organization as well as you are complying with in respect of the authorities. So here I'm sharing with you one formulation when you have to comply with the authorities. Then after, if you utilize this formula in your organization, you can also counter those authorities that if they have certain question about your compliance status management. So this tool which I am sharing with you, it will create or build that fourth quality of the successful compliance leader. So that is how the agencies work and what is their exact process. You need to follow them. If you follow these processes or their process specifically, so you can work one step ahead to those agencies. So now I'm sharing it with you. So just have a moment here. I'm sharing it with you right away. What you have to do and what formula I'm sharing with you. So here I'm sharing with you the process of the inspection as well as the authority, how they inspect your premises. So this is the process of defining by the authorities. Every authority under every labor law, they have certain process for their specific act as well as the law, how they have to inspect your organization. Accordingly, in every state, their appropriate government and their inspecting authority, they have this procedure. So you need to collect this procedure. Although we have collected it for the Haryana state, so you can utilize it for your state also, but there are the certain changes related to the data as well as the formats only. Otherwise, it can be utilized as same. So as I have shared with you in the beginning that master checklist, you need to prepare for the your compliance, how to reach with the final compliance management portfolio. So this document has long process, you can utilize it, but one important thing I'm sharing with you, that is how they work. So when you utilize this specific format to your organization, here is specifically mentioned what are the requirement, if it is a factory or they come for the inspection related to your labor, and then what they check as per the required rule and their sections. So they have specific section and rules, what is the requirement, so it is applicable for your organization or not, you need can check it before that, and accordingly you need to prepare your compliance management portfolio based on this master sheet. This data will reach to you as it is for your references and working, so that you can work based on this, and you can work one step ahead to your agencies which come to visit for your premises to assess your compliance status. So here I am also re-clarifying that one statement I have mentioned in the beginning, the compliance you are not maintaining for your employer, because most of the member we have seen, they maintain the compliance for their management only. They show, they present it to them that they are doing everything, their compliance is 100% foolproof, and when there is the inspection, then you need to pay something to them on the table, and otherwise if there are certain obligations for you, then you need to go for certain inquiries, and then for many years you are frequently visiting to the agencies and putting records to them, but still they have certain that fine imposed on you. True, assuring the compliance to the agencies, so you can utilize this master formula sheet, or this is a master action stroke for you, where you can also counter the agencies too when they come to your premises for inspection, as well as they will ask you for that particular provision you are complying is not as per the standard. So utilize this formulation for your organization, and we will share it as it is for you for your utilization and references. So this is the process of your labor law compliance portfolio management, and this is the second pillar, how you can develop the process of a foolproof compliance that it will work beyond the agency's expectation too. And this process will make you finally the build that all credibility, all qualities of the successful or the success compliance leader, that vigilant, foresighted, accountable, and responsible. Now you have maintained all those things, you have worked that, you have learned the specific advanced technique how to maintain this. Now it come the period, or it come the time to when not you, your work will tell to the management it is actually the compliance has been assured and compliant as per the requirement. So here the third pillar of this statutory compliance management portfolio is the reporting. So that as of now, which we have seen in the most of organization, the people who are in the labor law compliance specific provision, who are taking care or assuring the compliance, they prepare the compliance and maintain for the their management only. Then in the every month there are certain platform where you share the reporting, so that you share just that every compliance is maintained. When there is a government inspection, then all the compliances are zero. So that's why if you utilize these formulation, your compliance will never be failed. So here I'm also sharing one point with you, how to report your compliances. It should not be reported by you, your work actually should report it to your management, and this will also rebuild your credibility in the eyes of your management. What is that and how you will do that? So this third pillar is based on the two layers. One is your monthly KPIs and second one is your that periodical and occasional quarterly or biannual, whatever is that, how you can share that and report your compliance status to your management. Here I'm sharing with you one particular template which you can utilize as a one pager of reporting for your organization. So I'm sharing with you. I just have a look on that. I'm sharing my screen with you right away. So is this screen visible to all of you? Because your management, they are the business minded people. They do not focus and the compliance what you are maintaining. They only need the result. And for that, they do not have that much time. They can spend hours, half an hour and hour with you for particularly to know the status of your compliance. So here we have prepared specifically that one pager status report which you need to share with your organization or your management. So that is based on the three layer, that government approvals, then returns and register. Similarly, if you have multiple location, accordingly you need to be put that in it. What is the status? Okay, not okay, but it should be when you utilize that two process. One is the pillar one and pillar two. Pillar one is your structure, three layer of structure, then go to the three layer of your process. When you follow that, this status will automatically become green here. So you need to that report your compliance status in that, because your work will report automatically and say about your work. So if they ask any question, what you have done, how you have done, so you can go like this. So there are the particular provision you have made, and that is the status of that, then particular where you are sharing it. So that similarly, you can share that when they have questions, or otherwise you need to share it smartly. It will also represent you how smart you are working in the organization. And when you display that first master sheet which I've shared, every person who is visiting to your place or your location, they can know easily that you are working as in this system. So now this was about the three layer of compliances, and then after it come to the second layer under the reporting. So that is the occasional reporting, but here we have prepared one specific dashboard for you that you can utilize in your organization to maintain or prepare this statutory compliance portfolio in your organization. So now I'm sharing it with you here. So here we have prepared a specific dashboard for you, which that dashboard covered all the applicable labor laws for the organization and their requirement. You can utilize this dashboard for your organization, expecting all that required regulation under the act. And there are around 18 different labor acts we have covered, and all that required information we have incorporated in here as per requirement under the different laws. This is as per the central rule, and for the state specific you need to refer. So there is a minor changes related to the form number and the their data description. Otherwise you can utilize it as same. So as per the act, what are the required, what forms and what is their description required, and then their rules, what rule it is there and under which rule that specific requirement has been prescribed, then what is their frequency, whom to submit, and what should be your action. So here we have covered near about 18 different existing labor codes, labor laws, not code, that this master dashboard will reach to you as it is for your references and utilization. So This is about this master session and the two layer of reporting structure. And then here, as the creating that labor law compliance management portfolio, we have discussed the three pillar of system. One is the three layer of structure, and one is the second one is the three layer of process, and then two layer of your reporting system. If you follow these all advanced tool, it will make you the definitely the labor law compliance specialist, and that for quality of the successful labor law compliance specialist will build within you when you utilize all these processes. That this will make you vigilant, foresighted, accountable, and responsible. And then you can brand yourself and give you a brand value where you can ask a particular value for your services. So that is the formula I have shared with you. Now go with the layer number third. So here the section third, we are covering the question and answer here. So before going to the question answer section, so I'm sharing with you one next level formulation for 3 to 4 minutes. Then we will go directly into the question and answer section. So here I'm sharing with you one next level program which we have incorporated and introduced to make you the labor law compliance specialist in labor law specifically. So this program which I'm sharing with you, this is a 30-day mastery program, and it is designed with the object of specifically covering that all four qualities of labor law compliance specialist that make you vigilant, foresighted, and responsible and accountable. Then it will build that credibility of yours as a labor law compliance specialist, as an individual in the organization, as well as the department team member. It will also enhance your career as labor law compliances and your career succession. It will help you. Then what you will get in this program, so there this program is specifically you are getting 30 live sessions. That live sessions will be based on practical learning, and then after you will be get access to those live session, their recording, lifetime access. And when this live program will be completed, there will be 2 monthly session specifically based on the new development on the labor law compliances and your day-to-day issues you are facing. So this program is not just a program, it is a hand holding and specific coaching program for the member who can join. So then after we will design the live templates in this program, and you will get the live custody of those those templates, and then there will also a completion certificate at the end. And what is in this course specifically? This course is a weekend session and weekend course. Every Saturday and Sunday it will be happen, and there will be 2 hours of practical learning, and then it will be the late evening session 8 to 10. And after 2 hours of practical learning, there will be 30 minutes of question and answer session, and there will be the 30-minute of overview of the act. Specifically we are covering as per the existing and then the new code also, and all the learning will be based on the 3 layer of practical learning. Then the how you can collect the data, what is their linkage, and how you can standardize all that labor law compliance structure in your organization, that we will design during this session. And there will be dedicated template for each requirement under the act, which will be applicable for all the industries which are industrial segment in the India. So that when it is going to be live, the new session is going to be live from the 11th September 2021, and it will be Saturday, and start is 8 p.m. So what is covering here? You may have the question. So in this mastery program, we are covering the 30 plus labor law and 4 new labor codes. Then the course takeaway specifically during these 30-day mastery program and the weekend program, there will be assured 75 hours plus practical learning. This program bill is based on the WSTS technique, which I will share with you later on. Then there exactly we are covering the 33 existing labor laws and additionally the 4 new labor codes. This whole program is divided in 10 modules and their relative laws. So what are those? So here the 10 module will be specifically the first module covering the working hour, condition of service and employment, and the module number 2 that will cover the law related to wage, which define and regulate the wage. Then module 3 related to the industrial relation. Module 4 related to the equality and empowerment of women. Module 5 will cover the social security code specifically, or the all existing labor laws which are covering the social security for your employee. Then after another also there are certain provision related to the law related to prohibitive labor, then the law related to employment and training, law related to company, law related to environment and disaster, and new labor codes and their provision. So these are the 10 module we are covering under this 30-day mastery program on labor law compliance. So that it is the that course curriculum of this master program I'm sharing with you right now. In the module number first, the law relating to working hour and condition of services, we are covering the 10 different existing labor act, that factory act, industry employment act, shop and commercial contractual, all that applicable labor law which drive or regulate the working hours in organization and industries. Then module 2 specifically the law regulating the wage in organization. Then another module related to the industrial relations, specifically regulate and monitor the relation between employee and management that we are covering. Then law relating to the equality and empowerment of women that we are covering in the separate module specifically. Then there are the law related to social security and the prohibitive labor that we are covering in separate module. Then the employment and training separate module will be their dedicated module. Then law related to the company is there dedicatedly, where we will cover the aspect of the job, company secretary. So here I was discussing about the module. So in the different modules separately, we are covering all that expected and related existing labor acts under this 30-day mastery program. Then law related to the environment and disaster, specifically we are covering the pollution prevention act as well as the fire and safety act. Then it come to the next one, the specifically module number 10, there we will cover all the new labor code, their provisions, and in the separate module. And this program will assure the 75 plus hour intensive practical learning for the 33 existing labor acts and the 4 new labor codes. So this is the course curriculum of this 30-day mastery program. So now let's begin with the specifically when the member who are going to and who want to join this, enroll in this master program, so how this program they can avail. So here I'm sharing for 2 minutes that what you can, how you can get that. With this 30-day program you will also get the community where you can interact with the member as well as with us. There will be the private Facebook group provided, then the your WhatsApp group specifically, and the group in the Telegram, so that you can interact with the colleagues as well as you can ask to question with any concern to us also. Then after, this program is not specifically that self-paced learning, it is a live program and there it will also be interactive. Then after, here also providing the 2 monthly live session for hand holding, where you are stuck with your day-to-day activities and the new updates on labor law. So here, before going to sharing with you prices, so here I'm sharing with one the scenario of our education as of now. So if, for example, if you go for the formal education professional degree, so there how much you need to pay for that. Like you go for the MBA for some degree school, colleges or institution, for that 2 year of degree, so there you may have charge near about this much of price, this much of price. But that practically the professional learning we are getting in the academic professional degree, that utilize maximum 20% of their learning when we go in the professional life. But 80% of we are working as the professional front, we need to struggle for that from the beginning. And so this prize, this program we are sharing with you, that is based on the 80 and more than practical learning. So the pricing for this program, we are offering a special offer to you, as well as this is also a special Teachers Day special event. So there will be something special for you who want to go with this program today. Then after the certain similar agencies or the brand are there who are providing the similar types of labor law compliance learning through online. And as the study we have done, their average costing come to this 61,999 for certain courses, even that are the 20-day courses and that are self-paced. Then after completion of that, you will get a certificate, you have completed this and that 25-60 hours of learning. And thereafter there is no hand holding, there is no concern about you. When you go to practically on your working and professional life, then that learning will come with you near about 50% and remain 50% you are totally blank. But here in this master program, you have already the member of our GLL community. So here we are offering certain specific price for you. But before that, I'm sharing something with you. So here it is one offer, or that if the member, this program is also available on Udemy and Skillshare. If you join or enroll this program on those platforms, it will be cost for you 11,999. And in the future, we are also going with the certain webinar, 1 hour webinar on this program, like this master class for 1 hour only. And if some member come to this program from that webinar, so that will cost 799 to them. But here I am assuring to you one thing, that you have already become the member of GL community of SBR Learning Studio. And today is the special event, so that we are sharing with you or offering you a specific offer price along with the certain giveaway, so that it can give you the most of benefit from the program today who want to move with this program. So exclusively for you who want to go with this program today, so the price you have to pay only 2,999 for this program. This program I'm sharing with you, this is a 30-day mastery program. There you will get 30 live sessions based on the all 33 act which we are covering with the 4 new labor code, the practical learning, more than 75 hours of practical learning, that 2 hours of learning, the question and answer session 30 minutes, that will be separate totally. And for this program you have to just pay 2,909 rupees for getting in this master program today. This offer price is exclusively for this live master class or master session today. So it come to the how you can pay. If anyone want to go with this program, how they can pay with this. So there is three option available. One is Paytm, Google Pay, and third one is our secured digital partner for collecting payment, pay you money. So here I'm sharing one link with you in the chat box. So member who want to go this with this program, so they can check out that link, and that link is activated for certain time. and here I am sharing it with you. So here I've shared with that payment link with you. So here is one question. I will pick up this question just for 1 minute, and I've shared the link with you. So a member who want to go with this program today, they can check out. And then after, this is the special program as I have shared with you. So there, if you enroll in this program today, in the next 10 to 15 minutes, and before 8 we have to bind this master session, you will get the mega bonus on this teacher day, specifically two additional program of our with free of course for worth Rs 38,000. That is your 60-day website mastery program, where you can learn how to design a website is becoming a your portfolio for now, an essential requirement for individual and everyone. Then there you will also get one separate course of 30-day mastery in the advanced excel. These courses are providing free with this master program today. This offer is exclusively for this live master class today. So if anyone want to go with this master program, they can enroll with the clicking on the link I have shared in the chat box. And who will be enrolled, I will mention their name here, and so that you can confirm. So those members who will be join this, enroll this program today, and they will get their session will be start from the 11th of September, Saturday, and before that there will be the one proper orientation session for all those members who are going to join this master program today. So here, the member who will join, I will share their name here, who payment will receive to us and who want to go with this program. And this program specifically is designed to create that USP for your career, as well as that building for quality of the successful compliance leader. So that is your vigilant, foresighted, responsible, and accountable, as well as responsible. This program will enhance and your career as a labor law compliance specialist, where you can put up a value for yourself, and that value is specifically you can label or brand value, provided a label of value tag, where you can ask, where you go for any job, the certain price for this value. So now, if anyone want to go with this link I have shared in the chat box, so you can click on that link and make your payment, if and confirm in the chat box, so that I can confirm from the backend team whose payment has been received to us. And further, here we will pick up the certain questions which are coming to us. So Ganesh is saying that they are working in warehouse as a contractor. We have 2 employees and we deploy subcontractor with 21 employee. Principal employee employer will issue form 5 only to a contractor, but since our strength is 2, we are not eligible for CLRA license, but many subcontractor need to be. You are engaged. So there is not specifically is that contract labor come when you are engaging the contractor manpower. So you are engaging the contractor manpower, how many? 21. So for purpose of engaging of the contractual manpower, so first you need to be apply for the your registration certificate. Without that registration, how you can generate the form 5 for your contractor? So first is that The contract labor act is specifically applicable when you are engaging the contractual manpower and that manpower is more than 20. But in that case, if you are engaging that, it become applicable the license for those who are engaging more than 20. If that is less than the 20 number, you do not require the contract certificate from the contractor. If that is more than 20, you required the contract certificate for the contractor as well. If anyone have another question, they can ask, so I can reply that
Sir,
question.
I would like to be more specific on that, sir.
Okay, please.
Sir, I will just tell you what I have written in the chat box. See, I am working with a reputed logistics firm,
Okay.
and wherein my principal employer has given me a contract, and I am working the same premises with 2 on-roll employees.
Okay.
So when the principal employer gives me a form 5, because it's a own premises of principal employer, I cannot take a license because it is less than 20.
Okay.
So, but I cannot issue the same RC to another contractor because the warehouse does not belong to me. The warehouse belongs to a customer.
Yes.
So in that case, if a subcontractor takes a license, I don't take a license, will it will be legally wrong?
Yes, it is legally, because first of all, when it come the contractor labor and that contract labor act applicable. First, the term is specifically the contract labor. Principal employer, if they have worker or not have, if that is engaging the contract labor manpower, that it become applicable to them. So they need to get the registration for whom there that they are engaging the contract labor. When they have the registration, then they can generate the legal form 5. Otherwise, a document they can prepare, but it will be issue for when your contractor go for the contractor license. If that is manual, the authority can bypass for paying something. When it is online for the most of the states, so it will be big issue for the employer, specific for the principal employer only. So you need to aware about that, and you need to assure that first the principal employer required to apply for the RC, because your principal employer is engaging more than 20 number of contractual manpower. Then it come to the second phase, the contract license. It becomes the contractual specific, the contractor specific now, so that if they are engaging more than 20 number, 20 and more than 20, any day of proceeding 12 months, so that you need to give them certificate in the form number 5, then they can apply for the license. If you
So
have
my question is something. So my question is something different, sir. When principal employer gives me a form 5 or RC,
okay,
he will provide RC for 25 employees only, 23 employees. But we have given the business to another agency, the subcontractor. So as per principal employer, we are the contractor with 23 employees. But my record will say that I have 2 employees in my role. So a company can give 2 form 5. A principal employer is giving me RC form 5, the same premises, and I am giving a form 5 to subcontractor the same premises. Is it possible? Because in online no. You cannot have two RC, right? Two form 5, you cannot generate the same.
Understand, because just understand the basic concept of the contract labor. You are also the vendor for that principal employer who have given you. Correct. That is form 5 is not RC, that is the certificate. RC only that collect, and that RC is the registration certificate. That principal employer, which is the principal, mainly the principal employer whose name the premises, who is running the business. So that is the principal employer, and he need to obtain the registration under Contract Labor Act when he have to engage the contract labor. So he have the RC and register his premises or his register his establishment under the Contract Labor Act. Then after, he can generate the form 5 for the vendor whom he want to engage or he is engaging as the contractor. So for that purpose, then you are engaging the subcontractor too. So he has given, yes, he has given the RC to you, but you are engaging the subcontractor too.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but if he generate the directly certificate to that agency, means agency who are the subcontractor for you, so it will become the party to that your principal employer. Okay.
Right.
So then after you, yeah, there is two thing that it is which you are doing, that is, if that is for permanent cases and the job work related, it is okay for certain. If you are doing it the that same, so for that purpose you need to the contract license, and then you need to the agreement with your vendor party they are providing. So in that case you both required the that license for that providing the manpower in that premises. But the principal employer will provide only the certificate to you only, because you are the main party with whom they have the agreement.
So in that case, I mean that I have to take a separate resident certificate for the same premises with party B as a subcontractor, correct?
No, registration certificate, why? The registration is only for the principal, because your office is in that premises only.
No, sir. Now see, principal employer has given me a RC and a Form 5.
That is
for
Form 5.
Subcontractor, I have principal employer. Subcontractor, I have a principal employer.
Some principal that subcontractor have principal employer. Whom?
No, we are the principal employer. Since it is my contractor, I am the principal employee for the subcontractor.
Okay.
So
yes.
I become principal employer for the same premises. Since I have been given RC, I have to also take RC for the same premises, including party B as a subcontractor.
No, you have separate office for that. You have some
no,
separate.
No, sir, we don't have separate office. We have worked in the same premises.
So your registered office is also there.
My registered office is in Calcutta. For example, I am in Calcutta. I will just the scenario I'll give you. My office is in Calcutta, my registered office. My warehouse is also in Calcutta in a different location. Okay. Wherein principal employee different. Okay. In that premises, I have also engaged a subcontract, because we don't have 4PL triple concept. We don't have every one of the roles. For example, security agencies, housekeepings are working as a subcontractor for me. Yes. In the same warehouse. So, since it's an online process in West Bengal, I don't have a clarity whether we have also to take a RC. Because without taking RC, I cannot give a Form 5. Yes, without taking of RC, you cannot issue the Form 5 to subcontractor. Yes, because we had faced a labor inspection wherein we have told that we have got a RC, and since we have less than 2, we cannot take a license. But the department said, sir, you have got 20 people on subcontract, who will take the license? So where's RC for that? Yes. So that in that case, what you have to do, so you need to get the separate that RC for you. You have some specific office you need to define there for that particular premises. That should be on the name of yours. Okay. Yeah. So in that case, you can get that. That's another solution, but that is not logic. That is logical, but not the legal. So you can have a separate agreement with that party, specifically hiring them as a party for the specific short period of time, so that for temporary period you required a temporary registration. You can take that for registration temporarily, that is for certain time like 6 months, and you can take that. That is another solution for that particular case. But you required, you required the registration separately for this case, because there are the principal employer is one, and then you are engaging the sub party also, so you become the principal employer for that sub party. Okay. Yes, but the warehouse agreement is between the landlord and the principal, not with us. No, but since agreement that the principal employer, there you have also agreed, you are based on agreement with them, na service, you have service agreement with them. They have provided office to you, their premises to you, they have defined that you will be work in this premises. Correct.
So that agreement will work for that registration, but you have to go for the temporary. You cannot get the permanent registration in that case. So there is a provision of temporary registration also. You have to go for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, because okay, got that.
Okay. Have you another question, or some other person have another question?
Right, sir. That's my thanks.
Okay, thank you so much. And now, so here I'm checking. So is anyone there who want to go with this program, and so that they can pay this link is valid till 8 to 10 only, so that if you before that complete, so that we will bind this program today. And if anyone who have registered for the program, they can share their name accordingly. I can collect their name whose payment will receive to us. So this is not just a program of 30 days. This is the hand holding for lifetime, where you will get access to the video sessions which we have conducted, which we will conduct live, and all that learning. Then after, you will get the dual custody of your documents which we prepared during those sessions. One is when the session, one separate session we will cover, and day within that day or next day you will get the document for that. And then you can also collect the document based on the institution or the digital learning platform where you can access the videos. Then after, there is, this is the handholding program throughout the life. There will be 2 live session monthly related to the new input or new changes or updates happening in the scenario of labor law compliances, as well as you are stuck with your day-to-day working. In that certain cases, we will help you for your day-to-day issues also. So still you can share your name who has already made the payment. So by 8:10 we are binding this session. Link already shared in the chat box, so you can check there. Otherwise, I'm sharing the link again if anyone not seeing. Okay, so Pratik is saying you will pay. What time you will pay? So if you can do it right now, otherwise that how you can collect this link. So keep this link with us, with you, so that you can pay and confirm on that WhatsApp, as well as it will, the payment will be confirmed through the PayU. It will take up till 20 minutes. When it will be confirmed, you will get the confirmation on that. And then after, you will have a live orientation program on Friday. Then Saturday the session will be start for you. And any another person who want to go with this session or this 30-day mastery program, they can share their name accordingly. It will be go to the backend team, they can support you. So within 3 minutes I am binding this program here for the day. So Mahesh is asking, if our company processes hazard process, then how many persons should be required for safety officer? So what is the number of your manpower? So it is based on 500. So at least if it is totally hazard process, link is in the chat box. I'm sharing also again that link. Just give me a moment. So I'm sharing that link to you here. So check out in the chat box, that link is reaching in the chat box. Now you can check out. Can you see that link? So here Mahesh is asking the hazard process, then how many percent? So at least if it is a total, you require the 2 safety officer, as well as according to the number increase, you required to the further based on the every 500, so that should be certified. I'm sharing it with you directly, so check out it. I don't know why it is not visible for you. So have you received the link right away? If any other member who are going to this program, because this special offer we are providing, this will be in the this live session only, so after that it will be totally removed with this these other two courses, so you can get it right away in this program. So I'm share the link for who are the members who are making the payment right away, so I can confirm their name here, and then they will go for the orientation session on Friday, and then from 11th of this month Saturday the session will be go live for all of you. Thank you so much. And one thing that we will provide the participation certificate to you, and then you need to share your name, what you want to mark on that. A mail will be reached to you related to that, otherwise you can share that on the email also as well as WhatsApp also. The certificate will be provided by Wednesday. So today is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, you need to confirm the name. Wednesday end of the day you will receive your certificate, participation certificate, and then you will also get the video recording of the program that will also provided by. Okay, thank you so much. And one specific thing, you need to share the around one paragraph of feedback about this program as a testimonial for us. And if any member who want to go with this master session or 30-day mastery program, so that can share the name. And now I'm binding this session here. Pratik, if you are making the payment, just share that payment confirmation on WhatsApp that you have received that group, or as well as the personal window of that. Then after you will be get confirmation on that, and all the schedule related to the orientation program, as well as the next the 11th September live sessions for you. So thank you so much everyone for joining this master session today, and it was so interacting with all of you for your participation. And if any member they want to go with this, they can try out this. Otherwise, this link already has been dropped. But further, if they want to go, they can check out it this next 30 minutes. Otherwise, all the communication you will receive through email and WhatsApp. So please connect with your emails. Thank you so much for the session joining today.